Oh, man, that's putting me on the spot, man. All right.
Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. As you can probably tell from a number of posts I've done recently, I did attend MCM Comic Con on Saturday, 29th of October, to go and meet with Hasbro to speak to a number of their brand experts and speak to them about the different brands that Hasbro do provide. It's really cool as well. MCM hooked me up with this press pass. I definitely pretended that I was Peter Parker for a little while, not gonna lie. That was my cosplay. I was like, yeah, I'm cosplaying as Peter Parker. Look, I've got a press pass. But that was really cool, and a huge thank you to Hasbro for sorting me out with that one. In this particular video, we're going to take a look at the interview I did with Dan on the Marvel Legends team. Dan's a really cool guy. I've been in touch with him for quite some time, but this was the first time I actually got to meet him face to face. So it was nice to actually be able to talk face to face and go through some of the questions. Now, spoiler alert, I am not one of those people to hound the marketing guys with questions like, why the price has gone up? Why the box is windowless? All that kind of stuff. Sit me down in front of one of the decision makers in that respect and I will ask those questions all day long. But Dan is on the marketing team and I wanted to make sure that my questions were kind of fair to obviously him in his position, but also was kind of asking some of the questions that the community was hoping to know. These are questions that people have put to me or said could I ask, so I did my best to ask a few of them, and if your question's in there, let me know. But yeah, it was a good interview and I was really pleased with some of the answers. So without further ado, here's the interview with Dan at Marvel Legends over at Hasbro. Hello, it's me, Jacob's Toys, and I'm here with Dan from Marvel Legends.
Yo, what's up?
How you doing, Dan? Welcome to London.
I know, I love it. I love being back here. I was here in 2019, but I was only here for like one day. Right. And it was for, back then we had to go to different like European cities. And so I didn't even get to experience London at all. So today, like this weekend, I'm here and my fiance is here too. And so we're like spending some quality time after the convention's over. So it's awesome.
Oh, that's good to hear. That is really good to hear. Now, I love MCM, so it's really good. I mean, Hasbro wasn't present last year. Left a massive space in my opinion. I actually brought a couple of my kids last year, and they were like, "Where's Hasbro? Where's Hasbro?" So it's good to have you back. So we're gonna go through a few questions. We had the panel today. You showed us a whole bunch of new reveals, which are really
hopefully
cool.
you liked.
Some really good ones there. I'm not going to quiz you too much on things you can't answer, because I know that when are we getting this or when are we getting that. So more just kind of general questions and just sort of see if we can get a little bit of stuff for the community.
Okay.
So one of the rumours going around at the moment. Is we're seeing less and less builder figures, or it feels that we're seeing less builder figures because we're obviously seeing more deluxe figures and things like that. Is there any truth in the rumor that the builder figure are being phased out?
No, so I don't think necessarily the builder figures are being phased out. What we did have though was an influx of retro carded figures, right? Like retro carded waves. We had the Spider-Man retro wave. We also had the X-Men wave, right? And once you have those retro waves, you obviously don't have the Build-A-Figure component to it, right? We did put out, Bone Breaker, Controller, a bunch of MCU Build-A-Figures as well. So we're not moving away from Build-A-Figures. It's just that it just happenstance, like, because we wanted to push the retro carded waves too. It's just a mathematical equation. You know what I mean?
No, that's really good to hear. I mean, because Build-A-Figures obviously are something Marvel Legends are really famous for. Because all the way back in the Toy Biz days, they were doing the Build-A-Figures, and they've got smaller in some cases. Like we had the Hit Monkey and the Puck, which were really small ones. We had some really big ones. But yeah, Bone Breaker was an awesome builder figure.
I love that one.
And I've just had land today at my doorstep. I got a phone call at the Black Panther wave with
the Tuma.
Yeah, can't wait. It looks like a really big.
So again, like deluxe items are still going to continue though, because I think we've seen a lot of success with MODOK and Mojo as well. And so we'll continue doing deluxe items, and we're not planning on in the future in 2023 you'll have enough Build-A-Figure waves. I think.
Amazing. That's what we want. Okay, so HasLab project. Not talking too much about the Ghost Rider because there's still a few days there. You revealed the final tier just the other day. With the HasLab projects moving forward, because the Sentinel was an incredible one. It was the first one that we kind of got the option to get our hands on over here in the European markets. And it was really touch and go for a while because we saw it all and we saw you guys announce it, and then obviously a few days later, I think it was, you announced it to the European markets. Galactus as well, huge figure, absolutely fantastic. you know, the Engine of Vengeance has been, you know, people have kind of gone one way or another with it, but I'm gutted you haven't got it here. I'm not going to lie. I already did say to you that I was gutted you didn't bring it. But with the way that's been, because Sentinel was, you know, a huge fan favourite, Galactus was a huge fan favourite, Engine of Vengeance is a little bit more kind of, you know, touch and go. Has the way Engine of Vengeance gone shaped possible build HasLabs in the future, or is there kind of a set plan of what's coming?
Yeah. So if the question is, have we decided already on the next one? We haven't.
I was trying to get.
Yeah. We haven't decided yet. We're still, you know, we're working with a new team too that's dedicated to HasLabs, and so, you know, we work with another stakeholder with that team in terms of that. So there's a lot of you know, concepts and learnings we're taking from Engine of Vengeance, right, which is still ongoing right now.
Still get it. 31st.
Yeah. And it's just something that every HasLab, whether it be Marvel or, you know, G.I. Joe or Transformers, you know, every HasLab, we as a team in Hasbro, we share our learnings with each other.
Yeah.
And so, we're going to take all of the learnings that we took from this Engine of Vengeance and try to apply it to our next one. And if the question is, have we decided? We have not decided yet, and we will try to apply any new learnings that we get and make sure it gets applied.
One request I would have is, obviously Transformers have just announced their next HasLab project, and they announced everything at once.
Yeah.
Can we possibly get that for Marvel next time?
Yeah,
that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I know. I think that's what a lot of people have said to us. One thing that we also want to keep in mind too is that that method also doesn't allow us to have flexibility, right, at all. So if we had revealed all the tiers, for instance, hypothetically, for our Engine of Vengeance, the backer counts would have been all different. So it leaves us no room for pivoting, which we like to have too. So, and it's not just solely our own decision and that kind of thing. It takes a whole group of people to kind of decide how we're going to do that. You know what I mean?
You know, and I must admit, like when the Sentinel came out, there was a real exciting journey and what the next reveal was going to be. So I do see it from both sides, but after seeing everything announced with Transformers, I was thinking that'd be a really cool way of having a Marvel.
Yeah.
So there we go. So a little bit on reuse and re-release as well, if that's okay. Personally, I've collected for a long time. Longer than I care to remember. But I remember when there were certain figures that were really hard to get hold of. So things like your Rogue, for example. And on the aftermarket, the prices for them would skyrocket and, you know, go through the roof. Whereas it seems we're getting a lot more kind of reuse and re-release at the moment. You know, two of the sort of more recent ones is the Mojo and the Long Shot, because you've done it as the Pulse exclusive Mojo World, and then obviously we can get them as well separately. And we had Strife as well, which I'm down for one of them HasLab helmets if you're putting it down. So
I'll let Dwight know.
Let Dwight know.
I'll let Dwight know.
When he pulled it out, I was like, please let it be the next HasLab. But anyway, Strife's obviously a great one for fans because he was back in a Toys R Us exclusive wave, which for us over here was really difficult to get hold of. And you've also recently done the Modern Moon Knight as well, and released that. Is there a process of which ones you choose, or you know when you kind of release them? Moon Knight makes sense because the current popularity of Moon Knight, but is there a process, or do you guys just cherry pick which ones you think are going to work?
Yeah, so whether it be a re-release or any character selection, we don't have a scientific process. Like, it's not like a step-by-step, it hits that. It's really a collaborative kind of process where a lot of different stakeholders kind of come together to decide what gets made, right? And so secondary market honestly is one of those factors that we look at, right? And the timing of a release too. And there's not one scientific method of like selecting those type of characters. It's honestly like an art form that happens. And I joke about, you know, rap battles and breakdancing all the time, but it truly is sometimes a battle, like a fun battle where like different stakeholders have points of view. And so it's always interesting to see how they net out and what actually gets made. You know what I mean? I
must admit, Strife was my last kind of one. I was like, come on, you've got to redo Strife. We need a new Strife. So I was out of kind of options or suggestions for that. All right, so for you personally, if you had to pick a top 3 Marvel Legends
ever, or like
just if you had to pick 3 now and go out the door, which three would you grab from a personal point of view?
Oh man, that's putting me on the spot, man. All right, I'm gonna focus on the stuff that we revealed or released this year,
Okay.
because people could still go out and get them. So from this year's stuff, I really love the Renew Your Vows 2-pack. It's one of my
With the toes?
Yeah, with my toes.
With the
I
toes.
love it. I really love the retro carded waves. So the Spider-Man wave and the X-Men wave. Those are like my bread and butter, really. I love those card backs. And so any characters from those two waves would be good for me, plus the Renew Your Vow set from this year.
Good stuff, good stuff. Okay, so moving on to MCU a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously, we've got Wakanda Forever, we've got all of the She-Hulk, all that kind of stuff. Got so much to choose from now, whereas, you know, a few years back it was just the movies that were coming out. We had such a long run into those movies, whereas it's almost the things are coming out too quickly to have the I've got to say, hats off to you for the, was it Disney Plus Wave 2 or Wave 3 that had She-Hulk, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, because we got all of those properties in hand around the same time the shows come out. So massive thank you for that as a fan. Werewolf by Night though, did you catch Werewolf by Night yet?
I have. I know there are a lot of positive. It was awesome. It was awesome. With the MCU, like any other character selection, it's very hard because there's so many different shows coming out, right?
Yep.
Like, and to be totally fair, like that was one Halloween episode special versus like a 6-episode She-Hulk special. You know what I mean? So it's always those difficult decisions that we have to get.
Yep.
It also depends on like some shows we might not have concept for. Like so transparently with Werewolf by Night, we got those a little bit later than that wave would have come out anyway. Right. So we couldn't have probably activated on it even if we got it. So it's always like a timing thing. It's always about picking and choosing which shows that we can or which characters we can do. So it's always a balancing thing.
If moving forward you get a Werewolf by Night opportunity, definitely need, like I said, like a man thing. And maybe even like a grayscale 2-pack or something. Just really stylized, almost. You could do it with One Division as well, like the grayscale. Yeah. There's a need. But kind of in the same sort of vein as that, the Marvel monsters from back in the day. Yeah, the Draculas, the Frankensteins. Are we likely to see those again kind of at some point, or is that something that's kind of off the table now with the monsters?
Yeah, so transparently, I think it would be a while for us. They're not really on our radar right now.
Okay.
So I wouldn't try to put that up there as something that you guys will see anytime soon.
Okay.
We love those characters though, and if there are opportunities there, we'll try to evaluate and see if we can fit it in. But
they're not off the table. There's a possibility at some point.
I think there's always a possibility for everything, so we'll see.
Stuff. So Star Wars, the Star Wars line, they have quite a lot of holiday figures.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to see that in Marvel? We're going to see like a Christmas Deadpool or something like that at any point?
Again, nothing is ever impossible. I was honestly very surprised that Star Wars was like one of the first brands to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like out of all the brands,
it just doesn't match.
But it's awesome, and it makes so much sense now. But yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. We've seen great success with the Star Wars team. So what would you like to see? You said Deadpool, right?
Christmas Deadpool, hasn't it? It's got. I think the X-Men would be the easiest property to kind of tie in, because you go back through the comic books. There's so many that there's like the Hanukkah jumpers, stuff,
the Thanksgiving stuff, and
it could work. It could work. So another crossover talking about, because a lot of the Hasbro properties do cross over. So Power Rangers is a great one with Cobra Kai and
those are awesome.
Oh, amazing. Fortnite is under the Hasbro umbrella now, and there's a lot of Marvel property within the Fortnite banner. Is crossover something we could potentially see in the Legends line, or are we leaving that to other brands?
Yeah, so I mean, the luxury that Power Rangers has is that they're kind of our own Hasbro brand, right? Yep. So even Fortnite is not technically a Hasbro brand, right? So I would not foresee anything in the future with Legends, and because I think you're asking about the Marvel Fortnite characters, right?
Yeah, maybe.
So
Spider-Man. Zero.
There was a lot of cool ones. But yeah, because our brand is, our partner is Disney and Marvel. I wouldn't want to speculate and say that that kind of crossover is gonna be happening.
It would be a good one. It would definitely be a good one. And I think, especially with like the comic books, there's so many like tie-ins there as well.
Yeah.
And another one is the Midnight Suns game coming up. Those suits look look
They
sharp.
look awesome.
They
Yeah,
really
the
do.
trailers
So,
for those are awesome.
but as someone that customizes, I'm kind of like, I've got to get these questions in, so I don't want to work on a custom.
No, I
For you to
understand.
just announce it. So.
And just to clarify, like, I'm not saying it's impossible or it's not going to happen, right? Like, we've made 2 waves dedicated to Avengers Gameverse. Remember back
Exactly,
like a couple years ago? So I don't want to take game characters out of the question. I just want to make sure that everyone understands, like, the way that other brands are able to collaborate and do collabs is it's a lot different in terms of how they go through that process.
Yeah.
So
Right, so blue and yellow team.
yeah,
We've seen those. They're in the booth. Absolutely fantastic. Like how it's taken this long to kind of get those, but you know, patience is a virtue, and they look fantastic. Seeing them today. I know there's been kind of mention of like, you know, there will be other characters joining that style.
Yeah.
Any possibility of doing something like you did with the quantum suits, where you got the 2 figures and then the multiple heads? Because that's an option.
That is an option. That is an option. Yeah, I think I confirmed it on the panel and in our little recap too. But yeah, we have not seen the end of the blue and yellow, right? And you'll just have to wait and see how it goes. That's a great idea, though.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, don't get me wrong. As a consumer, you had to kind of track down 3 or 4 of them to get the whole team, but it was worth it at the end with all those heads. And I was just thinking, this was the first time when I'd seen a male and female kind of buck that you could do that. You could kind of throw a couple of extra heads in, save a little bit on costs because you've got the molds already. So it's just
don't say that to the internet. Are you kidding?
If you see it, you heard it here first. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so just to kind of round up, we had the panel. Is there anything that we... And actually, I'll tell you what, one more question.
Sure.
Retro, 3 3/4 inch.
Yeah.
Now, I know that's Steve's baby. I've spoken to Steve quite a bit about it. He absolutely loves it. But you did talk in the panel about dioramas and the possibility of things like that. With the retro 3 3/4 inch, could we ever kind of possibly see like the cardboard dioramas like we did get back in the day? Figures, that, you know, you get a bit of diorama in it and you buy a couple of them and it slots together. That's a possibility.
To be completely honest with you, that exact concept was pitched in one of our concept meetings. So it's definitely an idea that has been thrown around. Like you said, you know, Steve's a big proponent of Retro 375, and I know Ryan loves it. JTC does some great artwork on the card back art, and yeah, there are some key people in our team that love that line. And so I won't say that's out of the question,
but it's been talked about.
It has been talked about. I can confirm that. But we'll see what the future is with Retro 375, and we'll hopefully you guys will support the Ghost Rider that just got pre-ordered.
Yeah, the little vehicle. So it's the first vehicle. Are we likely to see more vehicles at some point?
We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, wait and see. I'm now getting into territory. Tell me, Dan. All right, so just to kind of round up, we had the panel today. We had a few characters, a few figures announced. Which was your favourite out of all the ones you announced for us today?
Oh, man. That's really hard. I really like the Extremis Iron Man. It's such a good... I wish I could have brought the prototype in hand, but unfortunately I couldn't. But yeah, once you guys see it in hand, I think you'll see it's awesome.
Yeah, no, brilliant. No, Dan, thanks ever so much.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of your time in London.
Yeah, thanks.
And we'll catch up with you soon.
All right, peace out, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks very much for watching. Please do like, share, subscribe, and all of those things. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you soon.